Grab those vocab books. Let's talk about congruency shortcuts. Okay, we're going to talk about congruency shortcuts today. Okay, well, in order to show that two triangles are congruent, what we've talked about before is that if all the angles are congruent and all the sides are congruent, then the two triangles are congruent. Well, that's a lot of work trying to do that. You have to prove that all three angles are congruent to the other three angles on the other triangle, and all three sides are congruent to the three sides on the other triangle. So it can be a lot of work. There's actually shorter ways. All you have to know is that maybe all three sides are equal. So if you look here, notice that all three corresponding sides are congruent. Okay, that's enough to tell us that these two triangles are the same size and shape. They're congruent. Okay, if you look here, here's another shortcut. If you know that an angle, a side, and an angle that correspond to both are congruent, then you know that the two triangles are congruent. Now notice it says here, two angles and the included side. Well, what's meant by the word included means that it's on the inside of the two angles. So here you have angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. So when it says included side, that means it's in between the two angles. So here, this is another shortcut you could use. If you can show that the side, angle, and side are congruent on both, then that's enough to show that the two triangles are congruent. So that angle though, see how the A is in the middle? So the angle has to be in the middle of the two sides. Another one is angle, angle, side. So notice here you have angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. The fifth one here is shown as RHS, which means you're using a right angle, hypotenuse, and another side. So this one works for right triangles. So if you have right triangles and you can show that the hypotenuse and another side are equal, so hypotenuse, hypotenuse, those two are congruent, and another side are congruent, then that's enough to show that the two triangles are congruent. So if you look over here, we have our abbreviations and what they stand for. So SSS is side, side, side. ASA is angle, side, angle. SAS, side, angle, side. AAS, angle, angle, side. HL is the same as RHS. It's just you'll see it both ways. I'll probably refer to it more as HL for hypotenuse leg. So when you see hypotenuse leg, HL, you know you're working with a right triangle. Well, here's some that were left out. Okay, angle, angle, angle. So if you have two triangles and they both have corresponding angles that are congruent, all the angles match all the angles on the other triangle, that's not enough to show that the two triangles are congruent. So this is not one of the shortcuts. Same with SSA. So if you have a side, and an angle, that's not enough either to show that the two triangles are congruent. Okay, so not everything will work. Okay, angle, angle, angle doesn't work, and SSA does not work. So let's practice some of these, because I know this is kind of confusing without actually having problems to work out. So go to the middle of your book. Let's do some notes. Okay, our first problem says determine if the two triangles are congruent, state how you know, and write a congruency statement. Well, we've already talked about congruency statements in the last video. So hopefully you kind of have an idea of what I'm going to be doing here. So if you look at our two triangles, you see you have a lot of things matching. You have a 30, 30, 110, 110, 5, 5. Is that enough to know that those two triangles are the exact same size? Well, let's take a look at our choices. Let's look at if these match. So right here are all of our choices, our 5 congruency shortcuts. Okay, well, let's look at what we have. We have an angle, an angle. We have an angle, an angle. And we have this side over here. So what we're looking at is angle, angle, side. Is that one of our choices? Well, it is. It's right here. It's angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. So they match. They have corresponding congruent angles and sides. So we can say, yes, they're congruent by angle, angle, side. And our congruency statement would be triangle A, B, C is congruent to triangle. Now we have to look at what is corresponding. So 30 degrees corresponds to this 30 degrees. So A goes with D. And B would have to correspond with E. And C then would have to correspond with F. So we know that A corresponds with D, B corresponds with E, and C with F. So that's how you will show that two triangles are congruent using the congruency shortcuts. Okay, problem 2, same directions. Okay, we have these two triangles. Now, see how this is a right triangle? That's a good indicator that you're going to probably be trying to use the shortcut with hypotenuse leg, okay, because you're dealing with a right triangle. So are these two congruent? Do they have a hypotenuse that is congruent? What about legs or sides? Well, if you look, here's the hypotenuse, and they match. They're congruent. And here's the side or leg, and they match. And we're dealing with a right triangle. So this one is also going to be yes by hypotenuse leg. And our congruency statement would be triangle A, B, C is congruent to triangle. Now you want to make sure you match these up right. Let's see, what angle do you think A will correspond to? Are you thinking D? Good. And B would have to go with E, and C with F. So that's our congruency statement. Let's try one more. Okay, problem 3, same directions. Let's use our choices here. Here we go. Our 5 choices. Now, you see that we have two angles and a side. Two angles and a side. Okay, so yes, congruent, 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 and congruent. So which of these 5 would it be? Well, if you're thinking angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle, you are correct. So because you have two angles that are congruent, two sides, and then 2 more angles, these two triangles would be congruent by angle, side, angle. And our congruency statement would be triangle ABC is congruent to triangle. Make sure you get these letters, the corresponding letters, written in the correct order. It would be D, E, F. Okay, we'll try some more of these in class to get you more practice. So, do you remember which 2 are not congruency shortcuts? These are the 5 that are. Do you remember which ones are not without looking back at your book? If you're thinking side, side, angle, you are correct. Side, side, angle is no good. Another one, angle, angle, angle. No good. Those cannot be used to prove that 2 triangles are congruent. Have a great day.